Hello, thanks for joining me again. This week's stillwater pattern is going to be an alternative to fishing a FAB on the washing line. Sometimes a FAB's great in that, and you can have a look at the FAB that I like to use. There's an infogram message just appeared in the video. You can have a look at that if you like, but sometimes it's not appropriate and it doesn't work. So what you want is something a bit more subtle. So what I'm going to show you is a little hare's ear booby that I use when I'm fishing the washing line. So in the vise at the moment is a Hanak 280 barbless hook. It's a medium wire hook and it's at size 12. And the thread I'm going to be using today is the Uni-Thread Yellow 6.0. So to get started then, a little bit of beeswax on the end of your thread. And we're going to run a line of wraps up the shank. And as usual, there's a pronounced bump on this hook, so I'm just going to run my thread to there and take away my waste. Now for the tail, I'm going to use a little feather that I've selected from this Partridge section, and I'll just grab that now. Now you can see there's quite a lot of waste on this, so I'm just going to clean it up a bit. Like so. And then what I can do is with one turn, I'll just catch that in, and then I can pull my tail to the desired length. Just misbehaving a little bit there. Just a little short tail I want. That's ideal. And once I've got that in place, I can lock the rest of this down. Remove my waste. And then I can bring the rest of my thread up. And back down to the start. Okay. Again, I'm going to add a little bit more wax to the thread at this point, and I'm going to tie in my rib. The rib today is going to be the Vivis Pearl, and it's a pearl rib, and I've already got a little section cut off here for easy use, and I'm going to catch that in. There we go. And the body material, I'm going to use some trout stockings dubbing, and this is a custom blend. It's killer shrimp. Andrew's very accommodating. If you want some material specially made, he'll go out his way to get it right for you. So I've got a clump in my hand, and I'm now going to dub it on to the thread quite loosely, because I want to be able to pick this out with my dubbing needle or a brush later on. So I've got that in now, and I'm just going to run my thread up the body, leaving plenty of room at the front. Now before I bring my pearl rib up, I'm just going to add a little layer of super glue to the pearl lurex. So if I catch that in like so, and this just helps make the fly last a little longer, so when them pesky trout are smashing your fly to pieces, this just keeps it together just a little bit longer than would if I didn't apply the super glue. Make sure the super glue is obviously down onto the material, and then you can bring it up. I like to get about 3 turns in, and then I can simply catch that in at the end here. Once I've got that in, I can take away my excess ribbing, simply enough. And as I said before, I can come in with a bodkin needle, or in this case I'm going to use my little dubbing brush just to get some of them fibres teased out. I like this to be as scruffy as possible, really. Okay, fairly happy with that. Okay, next I'm going to add a hackle. Again, I'm just going to use a little bit of Partridge here, and I've selected a feather from that, and I'm just going to trim back the waist and discard that to the side. Now, I've tried to maintain as much of the feather as I can because I want to get quite a few turns in here. So before I catch this in, I'm going to again add a little bit of wax here just to get purchase on it. Start it right back, and then I can come in and remove my stalk. Okay, next, hackle pliers. Now the Partridge, depending on the quality you've got, mine isn't particularly good, it'll be quite fragile, so you need to be very careful when you're putting the turns in here that you don't hold too much force on the hackle plier or pull too hard, or it will just snap on you, and you don't want that. So as many turns as you can get. I think I might just manage one more, maybe a half a turn. Catch the end. Once you've caught the end in, sweep everything back, then you're not so worried about that raggedy end. I'm just going to pull everything back out the way now and tidy up at the front. And that's looking pretty good. Okay, next then, I've already created my booby eyes. If you want to know how to do that, again, there'll be a little info bar flash up on the video now, and you can see how I make these little tic tacs. And you remember, I've got a little hole where I stuck my bodkin needle in before I melted the ends. So that's what I'm aiming for, and I'll just get a couple of wraps in there, 2, and then I can turn that up, and once I've got it on the top of the fly, using a figure of 8, I can hold it into place like so. Then come to the front of the hook, just a little bit more wax, and then I'm going to just put a half hitch in like you would finish any fly. Half hitch, or you could whip finish tool it if you've got the skill set. Once I've removed that, just to secure the eyes down, I'm going to add a little bit of Superglue in between the eyes, turn it the right way up, sorry, the other way up, and a little bit of Superglue below. Now I would set that aside to dry, and once it's dry I would just run it under the tap and then leave it to dry naturally, and what that will do will slick all my feathers back to get for the photograph actually, which you'll see it'll look completely different. Now it looks rather fluffed up at the moment, but once it's wet it's very thin, very buggy looking, and it's ideal if you're washing lining, dial backs or hare's ears. I hope that's been of some use to you. Thanks very much for watching.